despite the billions of dollars spent by businesses to make sure they're making the right hires, they still are only right with their hires only 43% of the time. Welcome to another $4 million strategies, and this is the fact I want to start out with today. Here we are at Virginia Beach, and I got Neptune behind me here. And what you want to recognize is that despite the billions of dollars spent by businesses to make sure they're making the right hires, they still are only right with their hires only 43% of the time. Can you believe that? Despite the billions of dollars are being spent, we still are not very good at it. And so that's one of the first things I want to start with is if you've made a bad hire, hey, you're average. And the reality is if you're better than 50% of making the right hires, you are crushing it. The problem is when we look at something like Neptune here behind me, the reality is how infrequent it is. We get to hire somebody, bring them in with no training, no processes, no procedures, and we think they're just gonna go ahead and lead the company, put the fear of God in everybody who's working around with them, and all your tasks are gonna get done perfectly well. Otherwise, zap those people out, and nothing will be able to get done. So I want you to think of some different ways of how we can actually be more effective with hiring employees in the future. So first of all, when you lose an actual employee, number one I want you to consider is, do we actually need to replace that with a full person? We have to look honestly with what type of tasks were they actually doing, and can we A, potentially automate those tasks? B, can we absorb it with existing people? C, perhaps there's a way to just take a virtual assistant or a contractor to take the key essence and projects they're working on. First, you want to look at those things first, because bringing on a whole new person and recognizing that we're only going to be right 43% of the time on how to make a hire, it's not always the right thing to do. So we could find a way to help take those tasks and the most specific things to help make sure we're getting done what we need to move forward to help serve our clients. That's super important. Now, if you actually do go through the process and you've identified exactly, and you still recognize you still need to bring somebody on, hire slowly. Now, some may say, hey, you should actually hire fast to make sure you're going to validate who these 43% of people are going to be right. But I do recommend you go through a process and make sure you have two key things you're thinking about. Not only are they a good skill fit, but they're also a good culture fit. Just bringing in Neptune in your business, that might not work out really well for your organization. But perhaps for others, it'd be the perfect type of fit for what you want to have. So think about that as you go through the process of hiring for skill and hiring for culture fit. Then as you move further down the process and they're with the company, the average person is still going to take time, 3 to 6 months, to be good at what they do. And that's maybe just learn the basics. It might take even 18 months for them to be good at what they do, and then several years before they become an expert in it. So have patience with that. But if you're finding that the people with are not a culture fit, you should probably make that change faster. If it's a skill fit situation, find ways to train those skills and make sure they're going to stay engaged in the process. Finally, of course, when you do get the winners and you get the leaders that you want, make sure you keep them engaged, right? Great managers is the number one reason why people stay with an organization typically, and make sure you're managing that person well, even if they have the leadership skills of somebody like Neptune. Well, this is our $4 Million Strategies podcast on best practices in hiring. I hope you enjoy the experts this week.